we made the biggest mistake of our lives.
Oh, I wish you'd told
Because
me.
it was like, this, Hollywood is the worst place to keep a secret, and this was the best kept secret in Hollywood. And
It was.
yeah,
Totally.
so to see
Best
that,
kept secret. Lady Gaga, worst kept secret.
yeah,
So the part of the allure of season 1 was that it was low commitment. Having done...
Well, I haven't seen it.
Ooh, well, I mean, we try to do that with everything.
I'm not gonna say who first is coming to my brain.
Thank you.
An honor.
Really, really
Nice
appreciate
to
it.
talk.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
for your time.
Hi Al, Miles, Gwendoline. My name is Chris. I'm a host of a show called Once and Always a Fanboy in the Philippines. It's such a pleasure to get to talk to you three today.
Hi,
Great
Chris.
to meet
Thank
you.
you.
So this first question is for Gwendoline. Everyone's buzzing about Principal Weems returning as Wednesday's new spirit guide. How do you think about her presence now that she's no longer bound by the rules of the living? And how do you see Weems shaping Wednesday differently now that her lessons can literally follow her anywhere?
It's very interesting, isn't it? The idea of playing someone who's no longer alive. I was so galvanized by that idea because, as I said to Alan Miles, who gets to play someone who's dead? But it is interesting though, because there's a lot of places where you can look, but really it exists in a sort of phantasmagorical sense where it has its own logic. And personalities may change. They may become more serious, they may become more irreverent, they may become deeper in their search for answers, or just simply deeply disappointed. So it was a really thrilling and exciting place to go and to let my imagination run wild. But there's also something terribly beautiful about being drawn back to a young person who's alive and wanting to guide them and wanting them to have something better and being willing to go through and forced to go through this sort of, at times, possibly challenging trial of doing that.
For Alan Miles, when a character like Wednesday becomes iconic so quickly, is there a temptation to lean into what fans loved before, or do you actively look for ways to push her into uncomfortable and unfamiliar territory?
I think with any character in any TV show, you're always looking to up the ante with every season, and you don't want to sort of rely on things that you've done before. I think what's challenging about this character is she keeps you honest because Wednesday always has to be Wednesday. She doesn't change that much.
That's also true. I think it's for us, it's like never taking, in terms of being influenced by fans. I think for us, it's always like looking at the character where she would go and making sure that she is challenged, but not listening or we always take note of what people say in terms of the comments we get on sort of Instagram and things, but not following our own instincts and following the instincts of where we think the character would go, and making sure that she is challenged, that it's never comfortable, and she's a character who's never comfortable anyway. So I think that's what's so fascinating. And then the idea for us, which is so intriguing, was bringing Gwendoline back and seeing the delicious conflict that Wednesday and Weems have together, and seeing that unfold in this new way that she is the spirit guide and very unpredictable. And I think that's going to be such a delight in the second part of the season, in part 2, that is so unexpected, and we've been so overwhelmed by the response in terms of, and keeping the secret was so,
yes.
Hollywood is the worst place to keep a secret, and this was the best kept secret in Hollywood, and
It was.
Yes.
yeah,
Totally.
Yeah.
so to see
Best
that,
kept secret. Lady Gaga, worst kept secret.
yeah,
This one, best kept secret.
and I think that's what's been so incredible, and to see that response, and I think audiences are going to be deeply rewarded by what they see between these two.
Well, let's hope so.
Yes.
So speaking of that secret, Gwendoline, for us, Principal Weems' death was a shock. How early did you find out she'd return as Wednesday's spirit guide? And did knowing that change your approach to playing her in season 1?
So the part of the allure of season 1 was that it was low commitment. Having done Game of Thrones for almost a decade, and you become very invested in characters. And when you're fortunate enough for them to resonate around the world, which we were so lucky to achieve with Game of Thrones, part of that character lives with you. And I wanted to be liberated, and I wanted to play a wide range of parts and work with lots of different people and have a very much an opposite experience. The issue was that I never really figured that I'd completely fall in love with this character or with this world. And so, you know, you end up actually wanting that commitment because what you're being presented with are challenges you don't expect. So I always knew Weems died at the end, and I'm far too British to ask for that not to be the case. No, of course, happy to enact a death, but you know, when I was lucky enough to be asked back for season 2, what was presented to me really triggered my imagination in a way in which I didn't expect. And I went about a totally different preparation for it as well. Because it took me a long time to figure out what it was. But actually, some of the experiences that I had that were enacted upon me or that I chose, I've not done for any role ever.
Yeah, and it's so interesting you say that, because I remember the day we shot the scene, the death scene where you get stabbed in the neck by Christina Ricci, who plays the character of Thornhill, and I was standing in this greenhouse in Bucharest, and I was watching this great scene unfold of your death and thinking, we made the biggest mistake of our lives.
Oh, I wish you'd told me.
Because it was like, this, I was like, oh, what are we going to do? We can't. We had this beautiful relationship between Wednesday and Weems. We had this beautiful chemistry between you and Jenna.
So they're going to leave it open? They're going to change it? Oh no, they're not leaving it open or changing.
But we had to. So we after that moment, we thought we have to bring her back. We can't have this. And then it was basically a courtship, wasn't it? Like, how do we get Gwendoline to come back? And, but we wanted to, I think we all agreed that it had to be organic. It couldn't be just like, oh no, she didn't really die.
Yeah.
So the idea that she was the spirit guide felt like...
Do it in like Star Wars or something.
Yeah, exactly, right?
So, I mean, why not? Just carry on.
But I think it worked out, right?
I think you chose the best story.
Yes.
Yes, me too. Right? Yes. Yeah.
As showrunners, you're not just writing, you're also fielding creative pitches from actors, directors, and department heads. In season 2, was there a suggestion from Jenna, Tim, or Gwendoline, or anyone on the team that completely changed the way a scene or storyline played out?
We take suggestions from everybody. It's like television is a team sport, and we learned early in our career, we worked with Richard Donner, who directed Lethal Weapon 4 and
the original Superman.
And the original Superman.
And a bunch of Goonies, he was like this iconic director and sort of a hero of ours. We got to work with him at a very young age in our career.
Yeah,
it was great.
And his thing was, I take a good idea from everybody. You know what I mean? From craft services, the grip, whoever. And we saw him on set, and he'd do it. And because his joke was, I'm going to get the credit for it anyway. Mm-hmm. So, but it did teach us it's like you always have to be open to a good idea. And if somebody has one, it's it's great, and then everybody feels more invested. So it's always, I think television is, movies are like a party. You go and it's 3 months and then you go. But TV is more like a marriage. But it's also, you're always in. It's a constant conversation. Because we're kind of the keepers of the world, but the actors in a way have to be the keepers of their character. So it's always a conversation. So Gwen comes to us with ideas, or Jenna, or Emma, or anybody.
We're always open to that, and I think for us it's always like we always see the episodes as unfinished. They're in continual rewrite until they're actually on the air. We're still working on the last 4 episodes. We're still tweaking visual effects and things like that. So it's always about being open to the best idea and to making them better.
And I have to say, it's kind of a rarity in television, which is something that has a strict filming schedule and very often can be prescriptive. So when you have such a collaborative and open artistic relationship in terms of how you're shaping one of the biggest shows in the world, it is a dream for an actor to be able to do that, and you do feel far more invested in the project overall.
Yeah, and that's very important to us, that everyone feels, because it is a marriage, but it's also a family, that you want. This is a long-term relationship with the actors and everyone involved in terms of the creative partnership we have with the department heads, the people who make the costumes, the production designers, always about people feeling invested and making sure that they bring their best work to the show.
Very cool. Thank you so much for your time. It's
you.
been such a pleasure.
Oh, thank
Thank
you.
Thank you. Hi, Tim. Jenna, my name is Chris. I'm a host of a show called Once and Always a Fanboy in the Philippines. It's such a pleasure to talk to you.
Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Yes.
So this is for Jenna. Now that you're a producer this season, can you share a season 2 moment that exists because you spoke up and now hits differently when you watch it because of how much it meant to you?
Well, I haven't seen it.
It's true.
I haven't seen it.
She doesn't watch herself, which is
I can't remember. The only thing I can remember doing that on the day I thought, I like this much better is initially there was a scene where I like walked by Pugsley and Eugene and they had been stoned by a Gorgon and I was gonna walk by and call them amateurs, but I didn't want to call them an amateur, so I went, and on the day I think I shoved Pugsley over, and when you push over a statue like that and they crack, he would die. He's dead. And then I think someone caught him, or like he ends up like leaning up against something. But it was nice because I don't think I have any other Pugsley murder attempts that season, so I was glad to provide the one and only.
For Tim, your worlds often balance beauty and decay in the same frame. In season 2, what's a scene where you think the set design told the story before the actors even spoke?
ooh. I mean, we try to do that with everything. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it starts with the serial killer's basement. You know, I mean, that sort of tells the story. And but truthfully, every set is we treat it like a character. So in other words, it's meant to support her and what in her world. So I basically treat every set and every shot that way.
One of the great moments of this season was the stop motion animation flashback. CGI can make anything possible, but stop motion has this tangible weight and fragility that makes you feel every moment. Was there a time during production when those challenges actually made a scene even more powerful?
Well, I mean, my first film was a stop motion film. I love stop motion because of what you just said. It's got a tactile quality. And so it just fit this part of the story where it's a story being told by a fireplace by a bunch of kids. So we just wanted to make it feel like a weird fairy fable, like a student film made by students with found objects. So it really, even though I love doing it, it was actually an important sort of way of doing it for that part of the story.
If Wednesday Addams had her own podcast, who would she invite as her very first guest, living or dead? And what would the theme be? Maybe a Q&A with Edgar Allan Poe, or what it's like being a spirit guide with Principal Weems?
I'm not gonna say who first is coming to my brain. No. Edgar Allan Poe, maybe, because she's obsessed with him in the show.
But I don't see Wednesday having a podcast anyway. But
Yeah, that's what I think I struggle with that.
Everything
because
kind
it's
of goes to what Wednesday would do, and I don't see her having her own podcast.
No, I think she would hate the idea of it.
Maybe that's why it would be so fun to watch, because we can see her hating it so much.
It would be
No,
a short
it
one.
would just be audio of her choking herself.
You just hear the crickets or something, frogs croaking in the background.
For Jen, again, if you could go back to your season 1 self and give her one note about Wednesday, something you learned only by making season 2, what would it be?
I don't know. I haven't seen the first season either, so I don't really remember what I did. It's just maybe be more confident in your decisions sooner, or I don't know. The first 2 weeks, it's like the cello piece isn't that serious. Tim's gonna edit that like crazy anyway, so you can go to bed. That's maybe what I would say.
With an actor like Jenna, who's so deeply in tune with her character, does your role become more about protecting what they've built, or about pushing them into corners of that character they haven't explored yet?
No, I think Jenna, that's why as soon as I met her, I knew she would be Wednesday. So for me, there's a comfortability, and the only thing we ever talk about is like, I don't need to push her. It's more about, because Wednesday's such a specific character. She doesn't have this giant range of emotions. So I think that our main goal is to like make sure that Wednesday would be this way. Because if you veer from that, she doesn't become Wednesday anymore. And so it's very, very important that she remains true to herself. And Jenna's great at that. So for me, it's just that's what we talk about is the Wednesdayness of her.
So for my last question, since my show is called Once and Always a Fanboy, I'm just curious, what are you currently fangirling or fanboying or geeking out over at the moment?
Oh my God. We've been so... Nothing.
During your free time?
I have no free.
Like a book, food?
Finished
I don't
the
know.
play.
I don't know why I
Equus
just thought of a
for the
hot
first
dog on a
time.
stick, but there you go.
Great.
You were saying?
Oh, I know. I read a play for the first time called Equus, and that was moving. It's yeah, I was excited by that.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
An honor.
Really, really
All right, nice
appreciate
to
it.
talk.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
for your time.
Once and always.